What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the BullPen. Today, I got a real special guest for you guys, and I'm excited about this episode, not only for all of our listeners, but specifically for our female audience right now who doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of role models out there that they can look to help them balance their life or look to have all the success in the world. Just there's no secret that we need more badass female entrepreneurs to stand up, to make a difference in this world. Honestly, for everyone's sake, not just for women. I hope that's key. I hope we make that known, is that I want to hear more from women and how they've grown in their businesses, not just, to speak to women, but to speak to everyone, right? And I think the person we have on today is the perfect woman for the job. She is the definition of a badass entrepreneur, okay? Let me just give you guys an idea of who we're about to hear from, okay? So she's a successful entrepreneur, philanthropist, and business coach who has become a seven-figure earner before the age of 30. That's super important. She became a seven-figure earner before the age of 30, okay? She's been able to overcome an upbringing, hardship, and poverty with passion and vision for a better life. She is now helping others to achieve their dream life as well. A business mompreneur, which I love that. Mompreneur with 4 children. She's earned herself a reputation as the balance queen, which we're going to dive into here. That's actually really cool. Her happy and strong mission is to touch 100 million lives through her philanthropy, coaching, and leadership development. Her unique and proven strategies have changed countless lives, helping people to have more success, joy, and balance, and most importantly, fulfillment in their life. She's passionate, she's energetic, and her energy is just contagious. And I've already spoken to her a little bit, and I know she's just going to ignite everything inside you guys. She has a book coming out, which we're just going to touch on. I'm not going to give out the secrets of that yet. We'll mention that here in a sec. But Jaime, thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremiah. I'm excited to be here. I love what you're doing. Love your podcast. And I'm excited to spend some time with you guys today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm grateful to have you on. So, Jaime, let me make sure I'm pronouncing your last name right. Villalovos?
Villalovos.
Okay, all right. Making sure I'm pronouncing that right. Villalovos, okay? That's a Hispanic last name, is that correct?
Yeah, it is Hispanic.
Okay.
You wouldn't be able to tell by looking at me or my husband, but yes, it's a Hispanic last name.
Do you speak Spanish?
I don't. I wish I did.
Okay, gotcha. I love speaking Spanish as much as I can because, from my LDS background, I served a mission. I was in Texas. So any chance we get to do a little podcast in Spanish, we could try that. No.
I'm not the one.
Okay, so you've done some incredible things. And as we were talking, so I love reading the bio just to give our audience just kind of an idea of who this is they're about to learn from, right? But again, every one of our audience knows I like to go deep. I don't want to just get the, surface level stuff about who you are and what you've accomplished. What I really want to know is, how did you do this? Who really is Jaime, right? And so at the end of the day, what I really want to start off with is, what's your story, right? Like, what made you who you are? What's your story?
Yeah. Well, I was, after I was born, my parents moved to Montana, thinking that, to get out of California, have a different type of upbringing. And we moved to a tiny little town, like 325 people in the northeastern corner of Montana. So a lot of people think of Montana as this beautiful stuff in the movies. It wasn't. It's like flat, ugly wheat fields and just nothing. And so we were very poor. I was the oldest of 6 kids. My dad, was in and out of work constantly. It was hard to find work. And so I grew up on welfare and, food stamps and those things. And so growing up, I watched my family fight about money, about which bill we could pay. And I knew I didn't want that for myself. I grew up on this little trailer on the edge of town. And so after graduating high school, I just moved to California with the idea of I could find a good job and work and pay my way through school. There wasn't even opportunities at all for females. There was no jobs for females. I think maybe a bartender or something like that. I don't know. So I came to California. I started getting, jobs anywhere I could walk to that would hire me. I worked 2 or 3 jobs until I could afford a car. And then I started working at a place that was a gym, a health club. And I thought that would be a easy, no-brainer type of job while I was going to school, sending money back home to my family. And, after about 4.5 years there, I hit an income ceiling. And it was a corporate job. It wasn't the positive environment I thought. It was very salesy. And I was working long hours. I was working typically 11 sometimes more hours a day, sometimes 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and zero appreciation. So I started really growing dissatisfied with working for corporate America and wanted something of my own. Really, what I wanted was control of my time. I wanted to be able to have something where I could put my family first. I had no life. I couldn't even meet a guy, let alone think about like time with my kids and stuff in the future. So I just started getting more and more dissatisfied. And luckily, I met a lady at the gym whose husband had a business, and she thought, she said, you're really nice, you're really good with people. Have you ever thought of doing something different? And it was just perfect timing. I was so hungry for change and for opportunity in my life. And living in California, even though I was 22, I was making about $70,000 a year, and it still wasn't enough to live the life I wanted and help my family. So again, I came into this industry that I knew nothing about, very young, 22, a very male-dominated industry, the financial industry, but again, hopeful and excited, and just started to work. I guess my strength was I knew nothing, and I knew I knew nothing, so I was very, very coachable. I found great mentors, and I worked very hard. And those first 18 months, it was just kind of head down and learning all I needed to learn and growing my business, growing myself. Had a lot of self-development to do. Then.
You know what? That's what's funny is, and our friend Ed says this all the time. He says, entrepreneurship is the greatest self-discovery program in the history of mankind, right? You have to learn so much more about yourself. You have to grow. You have to develop. You have to learn how to balance more things. Because here's the thing: there's a difference between having a job and then being an entrepreneur. There's a massive difference in how you operate your life, even the littlest things, right? And that's why so many people shy away from being an entrepreneur, right? So I believe that's
scared.
Exactly. That's a big thing of what you've been able to accomplish. Not only were you able to accomplish massive success in your business, right? But you're helping people find that balance in their life, right? Obviously, the balance queen. What is that all about? Talk to me about that.
Well, again, I started off in business as this young, single, hungry, driven entrepreneur that was just like, I'll be the first one in the office. I'll be the last to leave. I'll do whatever it takes to win, and then met my spouse. And I had to tweak things to be able to work together and have harmony there and figure out what our roles were. And what I did was I came up with, instead of trying to get him on board or kind of give him things to do, we came up with a common vision of what we wanted our life to look like. Then we had our first child. Then we had our second child, our third, our fourth child. And every time I had to tweak everything and figure out, how I could find peace again, because it was stressful. And so when I had my first child and she was about 18 months old, it was the first time that I ever was super distracted. Before that, it was just like, go, my dreams, my goals, I was just all in all the time. And for the first time ever, I was so distracted. When I was at the office, I was thinking, am I not spending enough time at home? Am I neglecting my kid? Am I screwing up my kid? And then when I was at home with the quality time with my kid that I was, wanting, I still had that voice in my head saying, am I still hungry enough? Am I working hard enough? Am I neglecting my business? So it was this constant distraction. And so I had to learn how to now still compete and win in my business and grow and scale, but also be able to put my family and my faith in those things first.
Let me ask you something. I want to throw out some hard questions here for you, because these are questions that I've gotten that are really difficult for me to answer. Right? One of the biggest questions I get from female entrepreneurs or women in business is there's a really big battle in women's minds about being overly masculine in order to be, dominant in business. In order to succeed in business, they feel like they have to be masculine. They have to be, assertive and dominant, and just, all these things, right? That's a battle, because, they want to, live in their like the femininity, and own that feminine, energy, but still have success in business. I think a lot of women struggle between business and they, being, male dominant in a lot of things, which you mentioned. You got into a very male dominant industry, the financial industry, right? So I want to come back to that, but I want to ask you about this first. Is how do you balance that? How do you help other females balance this idea that you can be feminine. You can be whoever you want in business, number one, but you can be feminine. You can be dominant in business.
Yeah, I love that question because, it's such this space that I'm in now with this happy and strong. I just don't see a lot of women in this space that are super high achieving and income earning and, making an impact, but yet are happily married, 4 kids, teenagers, 6-year-old. I just don't see that. And so what I see in the business world is these women trying to be, like you said, badass, trying to, closing deals in heels and these things.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like you said, if that's what you want to be, if that's who you are. But I think in business, you're going to be a lot happier long-term if you're just authentic. If you're out there, trying to make a difference, trying to create the life that you truly, truly want. If that's the life you want, that's awesome. So early on, I worked hard, started doing well, but I had one coach that said, Jaime, what do you really want? Not just, $1 million income, not just the house and the this and the travel. What do you really want your life to look like? When it's all said and done and all the clapping is over, what do you want your business to provide for you? Stability, long-term. And so I had to really dig deep and figure out what I wanted, not just to help my family back home, not just to, again, retire and have this great lifestyle. But what I wanted was, again, a dream life that I had complete peace of mind, that my family and I can go on adventures all over the world, but I also can make these big contributions that I'm so passionate about. And so I got clear in my mind of what this life looked like. And that was a mom, but that was also this philanthropist. And that was also this business leader that was developing other entrepreneurs. And so I believe there's 2 of you. There's the guy or gal that is, and the guy or gal that is to be or could be or is meant to be. And you're chasing that. I was chasing like that other version of me, a different type of communicator, a different type of contributor. And so I was constantly trying to move that vision of that second version of me and the lifestyle I wanted closer to today. Just move it closer to today. And so I didn't have to be someone I wasn't. I didn't have to be. My clients liked the authentic me. The people I was leading, they wanted a real authentic leader.
Yes.
I don't have to be a perfect leader. No one is. I don't have to be, I make mistakes just like everybody else. I try not to make the same mistakes over and over, but I'm not perfect. And so I think people would rather follow a leader that's, authentic and cares about them, and clients like the same thing. And so again, if it's not you, great. If it is you, that's fine too. But you don't have to be any type of role that you don't want to be. I can be a mom, and honestly, I think the women are a little bit naturally more compassionate, a leader, and that can serve you. That can be a gift to help you grow your business.
That's powerful. That's powerful stuff because I think what we crave today, especially with social media, what makes you unique is you. You don't have to play a role. You don't have to step into anything else except for who you actually are. And I think that's what we crave today because there's so much, like putting things out there on social media to look a certain way that you're not, or to portray yourself, and not even social media, in the job, like in the job you're in the workforce you're in, we try to take on a role that's not who we are. Right? Whereas and I talk about this niche marketing thing. I hate niche marketing because niche marketing makes you get so specific that you forget who you are. And who you are is unique. Who you are will resonate with people that I can never resonate with. Right? The truth is, you will always be able to impact people that I never will. And I'll be able to impact people that you never will because you're different than me. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. It means you being you is the most important thing to this world.
Yeah. And I think women also, you can't be timid and you can't be, cutesy and shy. You have to be assertive. You have to know what you want. You have to be willing to get out there and work hard and, get past those comfort zones and do what it takes to win, period. So being that woman can't be an excuse either. I always looked at it and said, if she did it, I can do it. If he did it, I can do it. And I can probably do it faster because I can make less mistakes watching how he did it. And so you can't let it be an excuse. Same thing with your family when you're married or you have kids. I've never let them be an excuse to fail or not take risks. I have my family, my kids be my excuse to win. They're my why. They're the reason I work so hard. They're the reason I take big risks. They're the reason I keep challenging myself to grow. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah, great.
I love that. Wow. Now let me take you back to when you talked about joining the financial industry, which is very male dominated, right? Did you ever experience anything where a lot, people would tell you, why would I listen to you because you're a woman? Did you ever experience? I'm curious if you ever went through things like that.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's always going to be people that have their biases and stuff. And I remember one time early on going to see a client, a male, and his fiance, and he's like, "Yeah, I love this. I need this. I want this. I talked to my father-in-law, and this is great," but he wouldn't buy from me. Went back again, re-explained it. Yeah, this is awesome, but he wouldn't buy from me. And the person who had referred me, they said, "Jaime, send a guy. Send a blonde, blue-eyed guy, and he'll buy." And I'm like, really? Racist? Sexist? All right, I'll go ahead and send another guy. Still, made that sale and let him be, whatever he is. But yeah, you're going to experience it once in a while. So what? So what? You know what I mean? Everybody in business is going to have challenges. Whether you're a woman or a man, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be really hard things that happen. There's going to be turmoil in your industry sometimes. There's going to be pandemics now sometimes. Okay?
Yeah.
Things that are completely outside of your control. I can't control that guy's, mindset or his biases. I can't do that. All I can do is what I can do, and I can focus on myself, my self-growth, my personal growth, what I need to do to get to the next level. And so, yeah, I did experience that. The one thing that really was hard was I didn't have any role models. There was very few women winning. And so I had to kind of just look at, leaders from the past, through books, through audio, people that won in business, people that were great leaders, and just study the great ones and apply it in my life. Then I had to seek out, male or female, anyone that was willing to help me to get to whatever the next, over the next hump. And I just kept doing it. And I just, I tried to develop good mentorship relationships. But yeah, that was a hard thing, that I didn't have a lot of role models, coming into the business as females.
I feel like women still struggle with that because as I mentioned before, a lot of women, especially, in my business, there's a lot of women entrepreneurs in our financial agency and what I do. And one of the things they talk about is how they feel they can't find women, as role models, especially in, I think they think that this is exactly word for word. They find a lot of women in fitness industry, or they find a lot of women in certain industries, but they won't find them in, finance, or they won't find them in business and entrepreneurship, right? Why do you think that is, and how do we change that?
Yeah, well, again, it's been a male-dominated industry for a while. But here's the thing, I would tell you, if it's been done, you can do it. If he did it, you can do it. You can do it faster. It's easier today than it was for them. Why? Because we have much more technology. We probably have smoother systems in place. And so I know, if, like one of my mentors, Ed Milet, if he did it, then I can do it too. I could probably do it faster if I ask him what mistakes to avoid along the way. So I just, again, be humble, be coachable, always be that empty cup. So let's say this is where you want to be, and there's a guy over there or a gal over there that's already done it. They've already been there. And so I'm here. I would say, hey, which way do I step to avoid the landmines? So I can get over there, but I can be there in one piece and happy and not totally burnt out and stressed out. So I utilize mentor relationships, but yeah, I think it's going to be that way for a while in some industries, but that's okay. Again, records are meant to be broken, and it doesn't matter if you're male or female. If it's been done, you can do it, and even if it hasn't been done, let's say you can't do it, right? And so to me, it was just challenging myself, and I'd come up with these crazy, awesome, scary goals that were almost unbelievable. But sometimes, as big as you can think, these scary, stretching, somewhat unrealistic goals that you can put down on paper, you read them, you're like, I don't know. But then just think about it. More than likely, someone's already done it. And more than likely, there's someone that's done it with your same excuse. Oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, I'm a female. Oh, I don't have any support at home. someone's already done it. They've already taken away your excuse.
Wow. Man, you're powerful. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm loving this. This is firing me up, man. Jeez. Okay. Well, let me ask you a new question, okay? I want to pivot to something that you brought up that I'm curious. How do you feel about the fact that you grew up on food stamps? Right? And what I mean by that is you grew up living in poverty, right? Food stamps, government assistance, right? Again, we're talking about excuses, and we could find any excuse. The truth is, everyone in this world has some pain that they can use as a crutch or as a platform to launch off of, right? And I talk to a lot of people who grew up in some form of poverty or some form of, my parents didn't teach me this, and they use that as a reason why they can't. So I want to know your thoughts, because obviously you've used that to propel you forward, but what was that like growing up on food stamps and living that kind of life, and how has that helped you?
Yeah. Well, again, we can use any excuse. Any excuse will do when you're looking for one. Yeah. Getting outside your comfort zone is hard. So any excuse will do when you're looking for one. So, but here's the thing. I grew up in poverty, but other people maybe had other, abuse or, other things. But that's not you. I mean, that's not this you that you're shooting for. So to get from here to here, you're going to have to go through peaks and valleys and climb from peak to peak, right? So when I grew up, that way, I remember going, back to school shopping at the thrift store, or going to pay for my school lunch with a punch card instead of a ticket like everyone else. And I knew it was because, we were poor. That little trailer was falling apart. The linoleum floor was, peeling up, and every room had a different color, ugly shag carpet that he had found somewhere. And I just thought, how poor are we that we can't even fix the swamp cooler that's caving in? But you know what? Those things led to defining moments for me. I remember one time waking up and I could see my breath. And northeastern corner of Montana is it's super cold. It's like Alaska. The Alaska winds cut right through there. It's really cold in the winter, even worse than Utah. So I woke up, I see my breath, and I thought, great, we can't afford propane right now. And I'm the oldest of six. I grabbed my little sisters and I brought them into the bathroom. I plugged in a little space heater, and I was getting them ready for school and doing their hair and singing songs with them, because I didn't want them to feel the way I was feeling. I didn't want them to feel like this. I know, what was going on in that household and that life. And I wanted them to feel happy. So that was a defining moment, that this was never going to happen. I didn't want in my household for me and my spouse to have to fight about money. And I'll just tell you, no one I knew growing up, no one in my family was ever successful in anything. No one has even stayed married. None of my aunts, uncles, they've never had a successful marriage. They've never even gone to college. So I had no role models at all growing up. So when they say, well, I grew up poor and here's my excuse, all it is you're a product of your upbringing and the small thinking that's been programmed in you. And you got to reprogram your brain. You got to reprogram your mind for success. You got to reprogram to attract wealth into your life. And so that's what I did. When I started in business, I thought, I really need to work on me. I got to do something about me first. And so I just started devouring leadership books, self-improvement books. I started to put myself in a position to be around vision stretchers, leaders, successful people. I would sneak into all kinds of meetings. Sometimes I would fly across the country to go to some leadership meeting that I was never invited to, and I'd get kicked out. But I put that, cup on the door to listen and to take notes, because again, I had to change my associations. I had to change, again, the books I was reading, the meetings I was attending, so that I could grow closer to that second version of me. If I stayed around those people with that small thinking, guess what? I'm going to stay exactly where I was. It's hard to focus on where you're going when you're stuck right here where you are, and that's all that you see in front of you. So again, I had to put myself in different situations, and I'd hang around these guys like Ed Milet, like these other great leaders. And I thought, well, these are great people, but they're just like you and me. They're good people. They've worked hard. They've had a great opportunity or business, that they could develop, but they're just like me and you. They all, had the same challenges. Champions have this. They went through the same thing we did. They fought through comfort zones. They had, hard times in their life. They had relatives that were sick, parents that passed away, small, thinking and in their upbringing. They all had the same stuff, but they did it anyway. They did it anyway. They looked at that excuse. They made themselves fight past that comfort zone. Their comfort zone now expands. What they think is possible, what they believe is possible, it expands, and they start to grow. Their thinking becomes different. And you keep doing that. You hit a new comfort zone, you keep doing that. You keep personally growing. And then when you go through the valleys, the adversity, that's good too. That's really good too. Sometimes those can be the biggest blessings of all. Sometimes, you're like, why me? But then that adversity is for our good to help us grow into that without it, it's going to be almost impossible to get to that second version of ourselves. So we can be grateful for all that stuff too. But yeah, don't let that small thinking hold you back. Don't let that be your excuse. Again, those were defining moments for me. I wasn't going to ever be in that situation ever again.
Wow, man, you're getting me fired up. I'm loving this. This is good stuff, man. Jeez. I'm just thinking about the feelings you've had, like you sitting there with your sisters, right? The truth is, like, so there's a story between the hero and the villain. And I've mentioned this before on my stuff. They have the exact same story. Heroes and villains have the exact same story, and the story is pain. Every villain, if you see a villain, right? Every villain has a limp. They have a scar on their face, or they have some horrific upbringing. And so then they turn around and they say, the world hurt me, so I'm going to hurt it back. But it's the heroes who have the exact same story where they were bullied, they're orphaned, or to some form or fashion, they've gone through pain. But instead they say, the world hurt me, so I'm not going to let that happen to anybody else. And I just heard that in your story of what you just did, of saying, not only am I going to make sure my sisters and my family doesn't have to go through this, but for future, generations. And obviously I can see that in your drive right now and how you've taken that to help other people in your business and everything. You've developed some empathy through your pain that drives you to make sure no one has to go through the same thing.
Yeah, I think that the one percenters, the champions, they have the ability to take these hard things or their emotions and use that to drive them. And so, I was trying to figure out early on in my business, like, what are my real important whys and goals? And it was kind of hard for me. I was single, I was 22, but something happened, another defining moment. I was in my office early in my business. I wasn't making a ton of money yet, and I was kind of being casual that day. I think I might have even had my feet up. I never do that, but kind of just joking around with some people in the office. And my little sister called, my sister Jessie called. She was about 9 years old at the time. And we're chatting and we're talking. And then all of a sudden, the twins, like the two youngest, they were about 3, started crying. And she's like, hold on. She put the phone down and there was a lot of chaos. And I could hear yelling. And then finally she comes back to the phone. And I said, what just happened? What was going on? She said, oh, Mom tried to get out of bed. My stepmom at the time was very, very ill and had a ton of surgeries, I think about 50 total now. And she was addicted to the narcotics that the doctors had put her on. And she was bedridden. And so my 9-year-old sister she was raising those kids. And so when she had tried to get out of bed, my sister was throwing water in her face, slapping her, drug her back to bed. She's like, oh yeah, she's okay now. Like it was nothing. And I had listened to this. And she just kept on talking like everything was okay. I said, why didn't you call 911? And she said, oh, because my mom said not to call 911 because they might take us away. And I hung up the phone that day and I walked down the hall to the bathroom at the office, and I looked in the mirror and I cussed myself out. I was pissed. I was just like, what is wrong with you? You're wasting time. You're wasting your life. You have this opportunity. You could be on the phone. You could be seeing clients. You could be doing something. You need to do more. They're counting on you. And it kind of solidified in my mind. I went through that. They don't have to. I have the ability to help them. And so that kind of drove me. I was so mad that day. And I think from that time forth, I didn't waste any more time. I wanted to move my vision closer to today, to be able to take care of them. But it wasn't just take care of them financially. I think my vision back then became, I wanted to win. I wanted to win so big that I could be the hero to those little girls, to show them that it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter. It is where you want to go, and you can get there. So I wanted to win to be that example for them, and so that they can do something with their lives.
Wow.
So you can take hard things and it can make you better. It can make you have not just a business plan or goals, but have an emotional game plan to drive you past tough stuff, past anything that comes up. Or adversity can make you bitter and shut down and even quit.
Yes. Amen. Wow. Powerful stuff. Let's pivot. Let me ask you about this balance thing, right? You're the queen of balance, right? You teach a lot of people all around the world, right? About balance, about, because obviously you've created massive success in your business, but this is a new venture for you, or like at least a newer venture to help people, and, correct me if I'm wrong, specifically women in their lives, to find balance, to find, ways that they can not feel guilty for being successful, right?
Right.
Walk me through that.
Well, it is for men and women.
Okay.
Entrepreneurs, working moms, men. Actually, John Maxwell, one of my good friends, I don't know if you know John Maxwell, the author.
He's a stud.
Has endorsed this, Ed Milet. So, a lot of men, leaders, and entrepreneurs too love it. But here's what I found. Like I said, I see so many entrepreneurs or, business people that have these big dreams and have these big passions, or even if they just want to have a side thing that they're passionate about, and they start to get going, but then they have the guilty feelings, or they just get so burnt out because they don't know how to juggle it all. It's just too much. And so they end up usually either giving up on that dream or just kind of being miserable, pushing and grinding through it all. And so there is a way to do it and win. And so, perfect balance is a myth. We're never going to be perfectly balanced, but you can be striving for balance and having happiness. You can be going for your next big dream, but be happy in the moment that you're in. And so in the book, Happy and Strong, that I wrote, it talks about, how to create a, great successful business, how to scale it and be able to step away from it so that you're not in it all the time, and build, leadership, in place. But then most importantly, how do you find happiness? How do you find that balance? How do you juggle it all? And so for the first thing I'll say is I don't do it all. Like so many people think they have to be this perfect mom or do all these different things, and they have to bake, everything for the bake sale. And you know what? Sometimes I'm busy. I think I'm the busiest person that I know. And sometimes cookies from the grocery store are going to be just as good as if I cook them, right? And so you're going to have to let go of some things, right? And so for what I do first is I figure out what is not my goal, not my income goals, but my ideal life, the dream life that I'm trying to create. And then I figure out what are my primary roles, what are my what's really the most important things in my life. And of course, I hope that's your faith, your family, and then your business. And so in the beginning, when you're growing your company and you're in that, like, at least first 18 months of getting the thing off the ground, you're gonna have, just sorry to tell you, but you're gonna have to cut some stuff out. You can't be in the bowling league and coaching a little league and, all this crap. You're gonna have to cut it out. I have a course called Streamline Your Life in 7 Days. How to declutter your life so that you can kind of free yourself up to then charge. I see a lot of people say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go all in my business. But then they start and stop because there's this stuff holding them back. So we got to streamline, everything first and get a few things in place. But in the beginning, you're probably not going to have a ton of hobbies. It's going to be, for me, my priority is faith, family, business. If it doesn't grow those 3 areas, I just didn't do it. I didn't do it at all. Okay. But then again, from 23 years of making mistakes, having 4 kids, building a multiple 7-figure income, multiple businesses, I've learned kind of some tricks, some tools, some strategies that, again, make my whole day-to-day a lot smoother, a lot easier. I don't have to spend a lot of time nagging kids or, micromanaging in any of my businesses. So that's what I kind of put in this book. Is I never planned to write this book, to be totally honest. I thought maybe I'll write a book later on when the kids have moved out of the house and I have more time. But during COVID, just kept, I don't know, something kept weighing on my heart that now is the best time to do it. And the book's just a small little piece of a bigger vision to help people with this. I coach a lot of entrepreneurs in my business, and what I find myself most passionate about is teaching them how to find more happiness, because they're like, yeah, I'm making great income now, but my spouse and I are arguing, or we can't figure out our roles, or I don't spend enough time with my kids. How do you do it all? So, like I said, that's kind of the purpose of the book.
I want to read that book big time. I need to read that because, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, that's something that I'm struggling with even currently, because I'm constantly working on expanding, growing, getting to the next level, pushing myself, doing everything I can. And there are things in my life that I keep noticing I neglect and I lose, right? Or I lose sight of. And I constantly am trying to set myself back, and how do I do this and grow and expand and hit my goals, but still not, lose myself health-wise, or, lose focus on, spending time with my family and my wife, right? That's one of the most difficult things.
Jeremiah, isn't that all high achievers and entrepreneurs? People that are hungry for success, they're driven.
Yeah.
We're driven people, and that's just our innate, we want to win and we want to do it faster. And so what happens is we get super focused, and you could go 3 months and be like, wow, I haven't done a date night. I haven't done one-on-one time with my kid. And then you say, oh crap, my wife's upset. Let me step back here and now go spend time here. And again, it becomes a distraction. And then again, you never get really the momentum that you really want. And so one of the things that I do is, again, I have that emotional game plan that drives me. But my business plan has 4 areas: faith, family, fitness, health, right? And then business, finance. And so my finance, I have savings goals, I have business goals. But here's the deal. If I want to envision and attract this amazing dream life, then I have to have it first. I have to first build it on paper. Build it in my mind, then build it on paper, and then go build it. But I have to have a clear picture. Clarity is your best friend. So if I have a clear picture of what I'm building, and I'm fired up about it because I'm, feeding it to my brain every day, morning and night, thinking about what I want. But here's the deal. As motivated and as hungry and as driven as I am, every night I read that plan. And every morning I read that plan. So guess what it does? It rebalances me, because it has family goals in there. It has marriage goals in there. It has faith goals in there. It doesn't just have income, promotion, or achievement goals.
I like that. Do you talk, and is that all in your book when you lay out all these these stages and all these details of how to balance all that and stuff?
Yeah, There's a lot of how to balance. There's a lot of how to structure it all. There's a chapter called Creating Memories versus Just Getting Things Done, and how to involve the whole family into different things. But yeah, towards the beginning of the book, there's a chapter on how do you get the clarity. I think that's the most important thing. There's a great quote from Napoleon Hill that says, I can help anyone get anything that they want in life. So getting that clarity first of exactly what you're going for and exactly what your in the end result is. How do you do that? So every morning you're fired up. Every day trying to get that vision closer to today, and that nothing is going to slow you down, nothing's going to stop you. No matter what happens, you're just going to keep growing and you're just going to keep dominating.
Jeez, I'm loving this. So Happy and Strong, that's the book that's coming out May 17th of this year, correct? So I want to make sure everyone stay tuned. Do you have a link that we can put in there for that, Happy and Strong?
Oh, yeah. So you can go to my website, happyandstrong.com, if you want to learn any more about me, or if you want to just get more connected with me. But the book is actually out May 17th, and it will be on sale pretty much anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever. But it's actually out for pre-sale right now.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. I'm putting in my order right now. Well, let me ask you this. How do people learn from you? I know you mentioned courses, obviously the book, but are you doing anything that gets people access to you or to learn from you or to hear you speak? What are the next phases for you in order to get this message out there? Because I want more. And I know people listening are going to want to hear more of this.
I think that again, if they're in business, whether they're a new entrepreneur, just driving every day trying to make your first million, or you're an established business owner that's wondering like, how can I have more balance and time with my family? Or if you're even just a stay-at-home mom or parent that says, how do I get more use out of the little time that I have and make more fulfillment and make more of an impact? So the book's going to be great, but I do live courses. If you go to happyandstrong.com, usually the next live course will be on there. Sometimes I'll do a virtual course across, the country, and those are great to plug into. Sometimes we'll do the mental wellness class. I did a lot of that during COVID because people were, having a hard time with just everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but there's a great course called Streamline Your Life in 7 Days. That's just a video course that you can buy. But honestly, they can always connect with me on happyandstrong.com. It says stay connected, and they can, ask me questions and things like that through email.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, listen, our audience listening in, we've got a lot of incredible stuff from this podcast. Like I had chills on this podcast. Like, you're powerful, right? This is some good stuff. But if there's one thing you want to leave our audience with, what would that be? What one message, what would it be?
Honestly, it's, if I can do it, you can do it. I promise you, if I can do it, you can do it. And so I know that it doesn't matter, again, like where you came from, what's happened to you, where you're at. Oh, I don't have support. My spouse isn't really, supportive. I don't have mentoring. It doesn't matter. If you want it, you can have it. And so I would just say, wherever you're at in your business, wherever you're at in your happiness, wherever you're at mentally, physically. I had a disease. They told me I had a disease that was incurable. He said I had lupus. I applied everything I learned in business about not listening to negative people, setting a goal, and visualizing my wellness. And I was able to cure this incurable disease. So it doesn't matter if you're at your lowest point right now. There's always, don't know what's around the corner. You have to be prepared for what's around the corner. You don't know if COVID's coming right? But you have to also be so hopeful and ready to just push yourself through the next thing and get around that corner, because, like I said, this life it can be full of abundance. It can be full of happiness, wealth, or it can give you exactly what you settle for. And I just hate the word. It's my least favorite word, the word settle. And I see that's just most people are like, oh, this is not for me, because it's uncomfortable. I would just challenge you to not settle for anything less than that second version of you, to become someone that you're proud of. You look at all these people that I'm sure he has on his podcast that are successful, and you're like, well, I don't know if I could do that. If I can, you can. If I can, you can. And I already know, and we haven't met yet, but I already know that you have everything inside you to make your biggest, wildest dreams come true. All right, you might need a little bit of mentoring. You might need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of self-development, but we can get you there. We can. And so just don't give up. Just don't give up. Just keep, no matter what, get clarity on where you're going. And just, even if some days are harder and you're just kind of doing just moving a little closer to it, gain ground every day. Just don't lose ground. Gain ground every day. Work on yourself a little bit every day. Work on your business a little bit every day. Some days you're going to be fired up and it's going to be a lot. Some days you're going to be pulling yourself and crawling, but just keep going. Don't give up. And I promise you have everything already inside you to get there.
I love it. This might be one of my favorite episodes. I don't think there was a moment in this entire episode that we didn't have pure truth just being spat. So this is great stuff. Obviously, everyone listening, guys, go follow this woman right now. What's the best place people can get a hold of you? Obviously, you're on Instagram, right?
Yeah. My Instagram is at Jaime.Villalovos.
Okay.
Jaime .Villalovos. Villalobos is a tricky one. It's Villalov, V as in Victor, O-S.
Yeah.
That'd be a great place, that they can communicate with me.
We'll link all this in the bio, so make sure you guys go get a hold of her. Follow her on Instagram. Go check out her website and that pre-order. I'm doing that right after this, happyandstrong.com. Right, correct, happyandstrong.com for your book.
Happyandstrong.com is a website. The book, they can go to Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes, anywhere.
Okay, awesome. Well, guys, go check it out. Obviously, there's a lot of powerful things coming from this woman here soon, and I can't wait to hear more from you. So thank you so much for coming on the BullPen. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you. I had a great time. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Appreciate it.